Hi, this is Kelly Peterson, and I am here to welcome you to the Fox Aquatic, my kind of random live stream about my adventures, misadventures, excitements, experiments, and all that sort of thing as an amateur fish keeper who is in their second year in the hobby. This month was actually my fish-iversary month. I have been a fish keeper for just over a year now. And I guess we will get the show rolling with a quick rundown of what's going on in my tanks. First up is the shrimp tank, which currently contains 0 shrimp. With luck, that will change as of the early February. There is a swap meet, and hopefully I will be able to change that and get some occupants for that tank. But we do have a nice beginning to some algae, which is, according to very good shrimp keepers, something that will help transition shrimp into my tank. Oh, 1 second. I forgot to do one very important thing here, because you guys are being blinded by this. There, less glare. I'm glad I caught that now. But gotta make sure I don't trip over that headphone cord. There. That makes the visuals better. Sorry about that. Moving on. The bladder snail tank. It has snails. I mean, you throw food in and snails happen. They're going to be very fat by the time I finish setting up the pea buffer tank. And then our very last tank to talk about is the beta tank. Beta. I'm still bad at using the correct word. Just shows that I'm new. Chardelon is doing well. He's, a happy little guy. And I did rescape the tank. You can actually see that I pulled the wisteria out. There's more swimming room, and of course, he's still hiding. So, it's home to a very antisocial little buddy for me. But he's a good critter. Now, last week, I told you guys about my waking up to a completely dead pump in that tank. I was not happy about that. No one would be. So I picked up the Hamasi upgraded 80-gallon submersible water pump, which will fit up in the sump area of the Fluval Spec 5 and was substantially less expensive. It has a very generic box, but it's shiny, nice printing. And on top we have a tiny user manual in, I think it's only 1 language, because plug it in takes this many words, apparently. And the actual pump itself, and this little doodly bobber that I don't... Oh, I see, in case your pipe is a different size. So it's a reducer. But here's the actual pump. Looks like it's going to be a reasonably long cord, which is always handy. Let's undo this and... yeah, a little wider than my arm span, and I'm like 5.5 feet tall. We have a little adjuster for the flow. It's got some clickiness to it. See? I don't know if the mic picked that up, and it's got tiny suction cup feet. So, the Homasi upgraded 80-gallon per hour submersible water pump. Once I have had an opportunity to use it, I will give you more details on the quality of the flow control and other such details. Perhaps I'll do a video for next week's episode where we look into that a little further. Now, the main attraction of the show. Green spot algae. It lives up there. It's a problem. Not a bad problem. It isn't heavily infested on the plants. That's the dark algae that we will get into on another episode. I had to do a lot of research to figure out, first off, what kind of algae it was. Second off, what causes it. And third off, what the source for the cause is. So, research, which I have provided links below. There's also a link to the pump on Amazon where I ordered it from. But if you look down there, there are links to various sources on information about green spot algae. And I found really mixed information about what causes green spot algae. And then when I asked on a live stream, specifically I asked on Corvus Oskin's show yesterday, when I asked the assembled Mabu crew about the correct media to use, or at least that I think I need to use to combat this, they highlighted the uncertainty of any algae cause. So, to determine if I had high or low phosphate, which are the two main competitors for potential causes, I determined through the use of Rotella Butterfly's nutrient calculator page, also linked below, that my phosphate is likely really high. I use CCAM Equilibrium to remineralize RODI water, and it turns out it's got a really incredibly high phosphate level. So, in an effort to combat that, I think the game plan is going to be using a phosphate-reducing media. And I will continue to give reports once that has happened, and in the meantime, I'll continue to scrape the front glass and hope it doesn't continue to get worse. So, what else can we talk about on this show? There are a few things. In fact, a week does not go by when I don't have an incident. How many of you have seen simple little plastic gang valves? I bet you've seen one something like this, but yours won't be like mine. You see that? You see where there are supposed to be little spigots where you attach the airline hose to? You'll notice mine doesn't have those anymore. It turns out my little tiny self went to reverse these two because I had them on backwards. They were fueling these two little tanks, and I had them reversed. So I would adjust one, meaning to adjust the right-hand tank, and they weren't corresponding. So I went to fix it, and I went, and I tugged it off, and I tugged it off, and I snapped those little suckers right off. So, I have lived and I have learned plastic is a terrible material for gang valves. I apologize if you can hear dogs barking. I think the mail just got delivered. But plastic, gang valves, no. So I'm going to be buying a metal gang valve, and in the next week, once it arrives, because it has been ordered, I will hopefully be able to show you guys the adventures in reassembling the tank air supply. Because air supplies are pretty critical to the entire affair. I mean, I can't believe I snapped those suckers right off. Like, I know I'm disgusted with myself, but what can you do? Now, other things I can talk about. Let's see. Fishy YouTube I've been watching. I watch an awful lot of that. Specifically, I'm going to recommend Real Fish Talk, episode number 27. It is on aquarium cycling, and I wish this video had existed when I was deciding on the methodology I wanted to use to cycle my first tank. Because I moved through cycling my first tank under a great deal of stress. It was scary, and then it was even scarier when it came to putting a shuttle on in the big tank from his little tightly monitored prison cube 1 gallon thing. So I actually highly recommend that if you are also a beginner. If you're not a beginner and you just want to see fishy YouTube go crazy, watch anything that Aquarium Co-op, Flip Aquatics, there's also Mike from Aqua Pros. I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Bob Steenfot. Can't forget Steen. Of course not. But all of those guys were hanging out at the Aquarium Co-op Maboo Studios, which is in its like soft launch phase. And you should just check out the videos from this weekend. They're really fun, really informative. It's kind of an interesting brain trust that's collected there. Then I'm going to briefly talk about a little bit of YouTube-y kind of stuff. Because right now, my channel needs some work. Things like logos and such like. So I have begun the process of working on one. So there's what we've got underway. Yes, it is a Chartelon. He is going to represent the show and shine as our logo. Hopefully I'll have that done before the next episode, and we will debut it with the next episode. So, if you have thoughts and opinions, videos you would like to recommend, if you have one of the Hamasi upgraded 80 gal per hour submersible water pumps, if you have experience with reducing phosphate and know a product that works, I'm going to go with Seachem PhosGuard, but if you have opinions, down below. You are absolutely encouraged to let me know. Additionally, if you have suggestions on times I could use or what have you, I'm willing to take that too. Oh, don't forget, thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't care which one you use, neither does YouTube. But they're always appreciated. If you do thumbs down, though, I'd love to know what I could do to improve the show. And I think that is all we have for this week. And I will be back again next week with another episode. I should have footage showing the new aquascape in the Fluval Spec 5. But I should also have footage on how exactly I'm going to replumb the air for this rack behind me. And I think we will launch into fighting the next phase of the algae battle. And hopefully I'll be able to work out some causes on the staghorn algae and put together a plan in the next week. In the meantime, I'd love to hear about your tanks in the comments, and if you have any questions about what I'm doing, anything like that, feel free to ask away down there. I hope I will see you next week. I will be at the same time, Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. See you next week, fish keepers.